The Twins gain ground on the first-place Guardians without even playing, thanks to a 3-0 shutout by the Detroit Tigers bullpen. Is the AL Central starting to turn Minnesota's way as the trade deadline approaches? Let's find out by getting Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And today, hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Locked On Twins podcast, your daily go-to destination for the latest Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, analysis, guesswork, whatever else you got. A reminder that the Locked On Twins podcast also is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which brings you your team every day. And your team is the Minnesota Twins. And I am one of your hosts, Dave Brown, a member of the Baseball Writers Association since 2012, and a ball writer in general since 1998, like before Jack Jones. You can find me at Answer Dave as well on Twitter, Answer Dave Brown on Twitter. If you look at Answer Dave, I don't know what you'll find. Across cyberspace for me, you can see or listen or hear. It's Brandon Warren, who knows a thing or two about the Twins. Tell him why, Brandon.
Because I've been watching them for 30 years, covering them for about half that long, and you can, but probably shouldn't follow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNE. By the way, I want to get it out of the way. Today's episode of Locked On Twins brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. By the way, I always think you are going to say it for the opener Discord instead of discourse. Like, isn't Discord meant to be more of a negative word?
It is. I could add that to my spiel because sometimes there is Discord. If we're, although Discord that's a different app and people might get confused. So
Discord, dashboard.
By the way, Discord you want.
By the way, Twins in Detroit next. Pablo against Cater Montero. You can get it on SiriusXM. Download the SXM app, and you can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with Chris Atterbury and friends. Again, just download the app, search Twins, and again, it is at Comerica Park. Pablo and Cater, so it should be a good one. 5:40 p.m. I got my time zones mixed up.
It looks like you're wearing the Tigers uniform today, Brandon. Is that in honor of the Tigers beating the first place Guardians? What's up with that?
It's also in honor of Laundry Day because that's what came up today with me running short on clothes. But no, I've been known to browse like the TJ Maxx, Ross, Dress for Less, whatever. And if I find baseball stuff that fits and looks okay, and I don't care about the logo on it. So it's I wore this all day today. I wore it out to the splash pad, wore it out to get some coffee. And you know what? We're just finishing off the day right now. And so I'm wearing it right now. But yes, give them some love because now the Twins are a half game closer, half step forward, 0 steps back without even playing.
I feel like doing the hokey pokey almost when you give me those directions. But the Tigers 13-7 in July, 5-5 against the Twins. So you mentioned that series is coming up.
Yeah,
it's Pablo against Cater. He has a 5.97 ERA. Cater does, but Pablo, if he's on, it's hard to tell lately if Pablo's going to be on or not. But Cater had a really good start against the Twins in early July, about 3.5 weeks ago. Sometimes the Twins offense, as people know, fans know, they just kind of go to sleep and fall into a rut. So I don't know if it was one of those. He had a nice start, I think, against the Guardians in his next start. After that, and the last two have been kind of whatever. So I'm expecting some runs. I'm also expecting Royce Lewis to be in the lineup. So he was not he was not supposed to be, but he was for 2 games. He did a rehab assignment with St. Paul. Not in the lineup tonight. Jose Miranda is in the lineup. He's still got a little bit more working out to do. But
he left the game early, and our friend Theo Tollefson, who does the postcasts, sometimes thinks that he's on his way to Detroit too.
Oh, so when you said he left the game early, I was nervous because he had gotten on base a couple times, including a double. And I'm like, uh-oh, something bad happened to Miranda, but he might be on the way too. So we'll see exactly what that means as far as roster machinations and so forth. But Royce Lewis, pretty much for sure, God willing, knock on wood, is going to be back in the lineup, and that's usually means a good thing for the offense. Maybe if they can get Correa back and get the whole gang together, the Twins won't have to worry about falling into any slumps offensively. But so we'll see Royce Lewis real soon, and possibly Jose Miranda as well. The Tigers, though, playing better than the Twins or the Guardians lately, but also looking to make some trades. So we'll see if Tarek Skubal is there. We'll see if some of their other players, Mark Canha and so forth, and Jack Flaherty. Is Jack Flaherty going to become an Oriole again? So the deadline in about 4 days. It's going to be interesting to see what the Tigers are going to look like toward the end of this series. If it's going to be kind of more of a barren look, and maybe the Twins can take advantage of that. I don't know.
Well,
but yeah,
Cater has only beaten the Twins. That's his only big league win. And in the 4 starts where he wasn't facing an AL Central team, 9.00 ERA. It's 19 earned in 19 innings. Simple math. And a 1.74 WHIP and a 276, 341, 512 slugging percentage against. So yeah, it's been tough for him outside of the Central.
I just think it's time for Pablo Lopez for his ERA to meet his expected ERA and his xFIP and all that stuff. So I'm hoping that either some adjustments or just whatever he's got to do means that he's going to be on starting. They really kind of need it right now. I don't know if the Guardians are going to be. They had 2 good months. April and May were really good, but July's kind of been off for them. I don't know if that means they're on a downturn, or if they're settling, or if this is just kind of a hiccup month for the Guardians. They've gotten 20 games over 500, and I'm not sure how they did it. But the Twins at least need to take care of their own business.
Well, last I saw, the Guardians were like 28th in starting pitcher ERA. So, like I've said before, it reminds me a lot of like the 2001 Twins, where they have not great pitching, good bullpen, and an offense you don't understand how they're doing it. And I'll tell you what, that 2001 Twins team was in the race until late, but ended up losing to the Guardians. And so who knows, maybe the script will be flipped in this case.
And on that note, like, how are they doing this? They did some good things with the offense early. Maybe had some good luck with wall scraping home runs. One of the people that I actually haven't really followed him, but he's always retweeted into my zone. Pete Mackey's burner, Prime Mackey, on Twitter, cobbled together some stats. The Twins are 29th in WRC plus, 30th in ISO power, 28th in runs, 28th in homers, 29th in slugging, 29th in FWAR, 26th in batting average. So this is an offense that pretty much across the board, they've been. When you get shut out by the Detroit Tigers bullpen, not that they're terrible, but they don't have a lot going for them necessarily, and I just think they're not long for first place with production like that.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think at some point you can get a sense for, like, that's as good as it gets for a team that doesn't quite have the horses to do what they're doing. Like, you can ride that wave for 20, 30, 40 games, but doing it over the long haul is difficult. And I did see a tweet today from John Lano, who is a voiceover professional friend on Twitter. And the Twins are one of, I think it said, 3 teams in the top 10 in offensive and pitching WAR. And I don't remember who the other 2 were, because it's, I've seen a lot of tweets since then. But it too, I think, just goes to show that the pieces of the Twins versus the pieces of the Guardians, you'd have to take the Twins all day, every day. And now that the Twins are most likely getting back 2 key cogs on their offense, and I'm sure Carlos Correa isn't terribly far behind, it's hard not to feel good about the Twins, even though they're still a few games back.
We try to remind people, because it's easy, especially in social media, to get caught up in the moment. And just because it's people get excited about individual games and they want to win the individual games. It's a long season. We have a long way to go. We're basically 100 games in, and it's a 162 game season. So we can't look at all of the results and say, well, that's definitely how it's going to end. I think if you take note of statistics like that you mentioned, where the Twins are doing well in pitching and in hitting as far as WAR goes, and if you look at what the Guardians have shown with their pitching and their offense kind of going to sleep, the Twins are in a good spot to overtake them pretty soon. So at that rate, let's take our first break and run some fine advertisements.
Our friends at SupplyHouse want you to get your supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. That's SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. And their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the game and talk to a real person every single time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive advantage by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. So join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. And it's game time. Well, not if you were a Twins fan today. Twins off before they head to Detroit and then to the suddenly surging Mets. I don't know if you saw, Dave, but the Mets won in ridiculous fashion in Thursday night's game. And so who knows what they're going to look like when the Twins get to town, but should be a spirited occasion. You know, if you are listening in the Minneapolis area, you're not going to be able to go to those games. But if you are out in Queens and or Flushing and want to go check out the Twins against the Mets, game time's the place. And you know what? The Twins will be back soon after the deadline, so you might get to check out a new player or two as well. But yeah, if you enjoy going to MLB games like Dave and I do, Game Time is the way to go. It's the Game Time app. All kinds of different options, whether you want to go to a sports game, a concert, a comedy show. You know, you can use it for just about anything that's in your marketplace. Just search where you're at, Minneapolis, St. Paul for me, for Dave, obviously Kansas City, and all kinds of great different features. All-in pricing, you toggle that feature and you can see exactly what you're going to pay at the end. You don't have to worry about what some of those other people do where you see an amount and then you pay $20, $30 more because there's a fee at the end. You can knock that right out. Lowest price guarantee. If you find the same ticket elsewhere cheaper, Game Time will cover 110% of the difference. And maybe my favorite part is the panoramic view. I like to see where I'm going to be sitting. I like to see what the view is going to look like. And again, you know, for me, it's fine because I don't usually sit behind someone with a head as big as mine. I feel bad for the person who sits behind me. But with that said, you know, you can use that panoramic view to get a good feel for, you know, where the stage is. I'm going to see Metallica next month. Or, you know, where you're going to be sitting to see the pitcher's mound, the batter's box, or anything like that. Maybe Kansas City, the fountains, all that good stuff. You can do it on the Game Time app. Download Game Time and create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB. Again, that's all one word for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
As we mentioned before, we're getting closer to the trade deadline, and it's a sort of an arbitrary way of putting it, but I think the first trade of the trade deadline season happened tonight. The Marlins send a left-hander AJ Puck to the Diamondbacks for División de los Santos, their number 14 prospect, and a minor league hitter named Andrew Pintar, who's and these rankings are according to MLB Pipeline, ranked number 30. So
Pintar, not Pine Tar.
Right. The umps are going to check him closely for himself.
Pine
They're going to find him, but hopefully he'll stay out of the sticky situation.
Yeah.
It kind of gives us an idea of maybe what it's a little bit of apples and oranges, but what Tanner Scott might go for. The Marlins they traded one of their lefties to the Twins, and now the second one is gone, and Tanner Scott is expected to go too. Puck is he started out, he tried to do a Garrett Crochet at the beginning of the year and become a starting pitcher. Did not work like Garrett Crochet did. But since June 1st, I saw this from not Bobby Orr, who writes for Baseball Prospect Bus, a place where you and I have
Baseball Prospect Us.
Baseball Prospect Bus, not us. It's Baseball Prospectus, but I give it my own nickname. He's been very good since June 1st. 21 games, 23 and 2/3 innings, 34.9 strikeouts, 4.7 walk percentage. So that's really good. People go gaga for División de los Santos. And so he's probably higher than their 14th best prospect, but he's got like a 40% strikeout rate. And we'll see if this is interesting to me because it kind of, the Twins possibly could be in the market for a left-handed pitcher. The Diamondbacks have one of the 5 or 6 best minor league organizations, from top to bottom with prospects in the league. The Twins are well rated as well. So I think it might be parallel to what the Twins could give up in a deal. I don't know if they're looking for a left-handed relief pitcher. I think that's maybe second or third on their list, but maybe they are if they can't find a starter. So that it gives you some idea. You're going to have to at least De Los Santos is a guy who's got some juice right now, and they have another top 30 prospect going. So that gives you some idea of what the Twins would have to give up if they added a reliever. I'm not sure how this deal compares to the Royals deal for Hunter Harvey, but they're going to have to give up something. So
yeah, it seems semi-similar. And my other question is, how much does it matter to you that Puck has 2 more years of control after this? Because my whole gimmick was you get Puck, let him relieve for the rest of the season, and then possibly make him back into a starter, because I don't trust anything about pitching development with the Marlins right now. Now, with that said, Scott is, he was an all-star, which may be damning with faint praise or faint with damning praise, whatever the phrase is, because the Marlins had to be represented. What I don't like about Scott is that he walks 5+ batters per 9. And obviously I do not want to have that at the back end of the bullpen when Duran is already kind of struggling with command. With that said, I mean, you can't say no, but I just don't think it's going to push the needle for as much as it's going to cost. And with that said too, I mean, he's probably going to be the best left-handed reliever dealt. So, you get what you pay for. And if that's the route they go, good for them. They have Google just like I do, so they can Google and see if he's healthy enough to trade for.
And we mentioned this at the end of the show in our previous episode, but the Players Association and the owners have negotiated some extra money for teams to get more luxury tax cash in the wake of what's been going on with Diamond Sports and Valley Sports. And so the Twins are in position to add perhaps up to $15 million, maybe not that much, but possibly so, because they've had to take a big cut from their local TV money because Valley Sports is in legal issues, and they don't have the cash that they did before, and that's possibly giving the Twins at least an excuse, if not a good reason, to not spend money. So with the trades starting to come, I think we're starting to get an idea of what they'll cost in terms of prospects. But really, it's going to be down for the Twins. What are they going to be able to afford in terms of a salary for this year, and if they get a guy who's not going to be a free agent, like an AJ Puck is not going to be, what will they be able to spend on him in the years to come? And I just hope that they'll take advantage of it. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, that's the great question, or like the great variable is, where do they see themselves financially right now with that money coming? And of course, also next year, is it still murky? Do they have more clarity? They would have more time to make a change. We saw the Diamondbacks go direct to customer, and that was I don't know how that's going. I haven't checked, but the Twins would have an offseason to kind of figure that out and adjust their budget accordingly. But again, like you said, the way they are playing right now, the chance they have, I mean, I literally said on an episode recently that I think they could easily become the best team in the AL. That is when you need to capitalize. That's when you need to strike. That's when you need to spend, whether it's prospects, money, or both. And not doing that in a year where the AL is inherently winnable would be a huge miss.
Whatever they do at this point in the season, we're not necessarily, unless it would be something really unexpected and unlikely, like adding Tarek Skubal. We're not talking about adding $100 million pitching contract where you're really behind it and up against it if the person gets hurt, and so that something that would prevent you from doing that. We're talking about adding $5 or $10 million, something like that, and hedging against having that money available at some point when the local TV contract thing sorts itself out. I think it's much more. My sympathies or my understanding sort of ends at that point. I think when you're talking about adding the big contracts, either in trade or in spring training, where it's many, many years and many dozens of millions, I get that. But the payout is just not going to be significant enough for me to say, well, to even put myself in the Polad's shoes and go, well, I understand why you wouldn't want to spend 10 or 15 or $20 million more on some player for a couple of years. Part I don't get. And I think if they don't, people already complain. Maybe the ownership doesn't hear it or doesn't care or expects it already, but people are going to have absolutely every right to be really upset if they don't make a couple of moves that are kind of expensive.
And they packed the park for both Milwaukee and Philly. Like, this team has a fan base that wants to rally around them, but they can't watch them on TV. And so they're not really going to see them in person either until, now out of the break, we're coming into the end of the summertime. Kids are starting to think about going back to school. People are turning out. So take advantage because you got to do it.
All right, let's take our last commercial break and listen to some fine advertisements, and then we'll wrap it up.
You got it. This episode of Locked On Twins is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, and again, we talk about this, but Dave and I are both setting off for opposite coasts.
We're getting as far away from each other as we can.
Yeah, which could make recording quite interesting because we'll be about what?
It's going to be a long tin can and a string, I tell you what.
Yeah, playing a little game of telephone. But with that heating up, Booking.com is the place to go. You can explore those U.S. cities you secretly have always wanted to learn more about. And yes, even those rivals. Again, I'm representing the Old English D tonight as a thank you for beating the Guardians and, just kind of doing what the Twins need done when they're not facing the Guardians. So with hotels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay. Whether you're a Yankees fan, wanting to go to Boston and check out Fenway Park and maybe get a little clam chowder or a lobster roll, you find a waterfront hotel and or something close to Fenway, or if you are a Twins fan and want to head to Detroit, even right now, you could hop on Booking.com and give it a shot. And you know what? We're coming to that point in the summer where you got to sneak in every vacation you can and all that time off when you can, because kids going back to school. I know for me, my schedule is going to ramp up here in September. So again, we are looking for those vacations, and Booking.com is the place to do it. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. And again, we love PrizePicks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you and the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I've gotten a good look at those goblin picks and those demon picks to see, how you can get those and hit those multipliers. You hit a couple buttons and it moves, you up to like a times 14 or a times 16. And you can also do, if you want to, if you pick 4, but you want to win and you get 3 of 4, then you can do a modifier, and that allows you to, not hit all your marks, all your targets, and still win a little bit. Really, honestly, the only way you can see it is for yourself on the app. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. All kinds of MLB action going on right now. Just scrolling across the top of the app, there are so many different statistical choices, whether it's RBIs or they have a lot of them that are like hits plus runs plus RBIs, over under 1.5. And, those are kind of fun to, mess around with, because honestly, if you win, you get some big money. So I had Andrew Vaughn on mine today. I would not recommend that, or any White Sox hitter for that matter. But download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Couple more notes as we hit the home stretch about how the trade deadline might be shaped. Mason Miller, A's closer, broke his left pinky striking a table in anger, a padded athletic training table, and he's going to be out for a while. He's not able to grip a glove, so he's going to be able to throw because he's right-handed. So again, stop hitting yourself, guys out there. Don't hit the dugout. Don't hit stuff, and why are you doing that? Why are you hitting yourself? Stop doing that. So that's going to – I don't know if the A's were on the verge of trading Mason Miller, but it certainly could affect how what relievers are available and what their cost is a little bit here as we come 4 days or so away from the trade deadline. I mentioned Garrett Crochet earlier with AJ Puck's unsuccessful transformation into a starter. Crochet, very successful transformation, and now he's his agent is letting the world know that he's going to demand a contract extension if he's going to be pitching in the playoffs. He's not going to pitch in the playoffs without some guarantees. He's a free agent in a couple of years, so he's not on the verge of that. But he's got an injury history, and he's never pitched this many innings before. So it's all kind of lots of unknowns with Garrett Crochet, and he's protecting himself against possible injury by trying to make sure that whoever gets him knows that he's not going to go in the playoffs unless he has some guarantees.
Well,
what do you think about that?
I initially tweeted like, good for him, protect your earnings and all that. And this is a guy who has multiple years of control. So, I mean, I guess you could buy those out, but who's going to give him 5 years at even really good money for him to say yes, when he didn't even have a big league start before the season? In fact, if I remember correctly, the opening day start was like, what, really? Garrett Crochet is going to start on opening day? And then, he's had a really nice year. And again, protect your earnings, because it's the name of the game. But I don't know who wants to give up big prospects and big money and a big risk if Crochet will stay healthy. It's funny. I feel like the White Sox get all kinds of pitchers like this. Chris Sale, they always worried he was going to break down. Carlos Rodon, same deal. And Rodon needed a lot of time. And in fact, he was so bad that one year that they might have even non-tendered him. Then he comes back and pitches just phenomenal.
They did. And he came back. They non-tendered him. And then, yeah.
Right. That's right. Yep. You're right. And so it's just funny how they seem to have a type. And then who did they draft 5th overall? A lefty. It's like they love those electric lefties. And I don't know. We'll see what happens with Crochet. I know that if I was an acquiring team, I'd definitely think twice and maybe 3 times about paying big for him.
Let me ask, do you think a contract extension, could he possibly mean just guaranteeing and getting out of arbitration, buying out arbitration for a couple of years, and maybe not even going into free agency yet? Or does he want like 1 year beyond free agency? What does he want?
I don't think he can reasonably say much more than that. You know what I mean? Is like, if you can, again, if you are Garrett Crochet, I don't think you can say I want 6 years and $100 million right now, but you could say listen,
3.
I've got, what has he got, 3 years of club control left, maybe 4.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
just looked 3, I think.
let's go over to Matt Swartz on MLB Trade Rumors and look at what my projected arbitration numbers look like the next 2 years. Maybe give me a little bump on each of those, and just let me know that I'm protected against injury. You know, and
Right.
what will that cost? 30 million, 40 million, I think. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of bouncing it off the top of my head here, but it wouldn't be horrible. But if he wants more than that, that's when it really gets tough for me.
Maybe 3 years, 80 million. I don't know. I mean, 25. Yeah, it would be more, but the thing that he would get is a guarantee, and he wouldn't have to worry about being hurt. And
basically
in the short term.
the John Singleton, Scott Kingery, Evan White special, just at more money.
So that's and the one last thing that doesn't really have anything to do with the trade deadline, but Jay Jackson was released.
Yep.
He did not pitch when he was sent back a second time to St. Paul. He was not, it wasn't the restricted list, but it was something like that.
Temporarily inactive. Yeah.
Temporarily inactive. So
hope it didn't have anything to do with his personal stuff, because I know he's got a lot of stuff going on with children, and that's scary, you know, and hopefully he lands someplace that he can be successful. He seems by all accounts to be a good dude. Just didn't work here, and that happens.
At least he got a year's guaranteed salary out of it. So
yeah, the cool millie.
And he got to be on an open 80 roster, so don't feel too bad for him, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, that is going to wrap up this episode of Locked On Twins. For your co-host Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown saying, I don't know if we'll see Casilla tomorrow night, but we're going to see you very soon and talking about the trade deadline that's coming up in about 4 days. So
we'll see you later.
Oh, there. Good night. It's good.